I'm Allendale's chief meteorologist Ryan Martin with a look at your midday weather update. Most of the interesting weather here over the course of the next 10 days to 2 weeks actually is going to happen across the continental United States. Now, what happens to impact agricultural issues? Yeah, that's still going to be overseas, but the overseas weather pattern, especially in places like Brazil, honestly, looking pretty good right now. Continuing to see scattered rain shower action across a large part of Brazil's soybean area. I've got another 1 to 2 inches over the next week to 10 days over most of the south and southeastern part of Brazil. Let's just name them off: Mato Grosso do Sul, Santa Catarina, Sao Paulo, southward through Paraná, and Rio Grande do Sul. Notice I've left out Mato Grosso itself and then also Goiás along with Minas Gerais. Those areas look a little bit drier, especially Mato Grosso. Yeah, still some scattered showers there, but I'm thinking week-long totals could be a half an inch or less. Same basic kind of setup for Goiás. So maybe a little bit lighter rain amounts farther north in that part of the soy country, but still nothing that we're too concerned about given some of the rains that they had 2.5 to 3 weeks ago. So kind of the same story there. Temperatures, honestly, if you're looking at temperatures down there, it's spectacular for early parts of the crop season. Normal temperatures slightly above at times, but we don't see any major heat coming. And we're seeing good rains still trying to creep up in Argentina. They're a little less scattered, a little less frequent. We see one more decent system trying to work through as we finish out the weekend and go into early next week. That'll probably bring some moisture. But then we have nice windows of opportunity in between. Should allow for a continuation of planting progress down there at a nice, good clip overall. Still looking at some scattered showers popping up probably tomorrow into early Sunday in Russia, former Soviet Union areas. I'm not overly excited about the rainfall totals. I think probably 1 to maybe 4/10 coverage, about 60 to 70%, but it is some moisture, and we're still looking at a mostly dry week ahead in Australia. So that's the international weather. Run through that first, because now we're getting into a scenario here where we've got a couple of big weather systems that still want to come through. This past weekend system seemed to me to have more bark than bite over a majority of the Corn Belt. Now, I have talked with some folks that said, hey, we had some heavy rain, and those winds, what little corn was left has been flattened in our area. Okay, I'll grant you that, but also the amount of corn that was left was, fairly minimal. As we go forward next week, the system that I have been watching still looks like it's going to put down great rains over the Corn Belt, but the winds are cranking up. The low looks stronger, and now I'm going to start to have to look at potential for another big snow outbreak, blizzard conditions again in some of the same areas that we saw it here earlier this week. I'm talking eastern Colorado, western Kansas, and more of western Kansas actually than what we saw before. Southwest Nebraska, I'm concerned about snow. The temperatures are going to be borderline, so again, it's going to be a very wet snow, but the winds are not. Winds could be every bit as strong as what they were this past week, and maybe more so as we go forward. And so the winds will probably be the biggest thing that we have to deal with. Overall, in addition to the winds, we're going to end up with probably 1 to 3 inches of rain over the Corn Belt, coverage about 90%. Back out in the plains, I think you can see several inches of snow, also several inches of rain in especially central and eastern parts of the Central Plains, central eastern Oklahoma. I think we can see some strong to severe weather there, so a big, powerful system early next week. Following that up, several days of dry weather, but we've got another cluster working its way in as we go through the 21st into the 22nd. First hitting the central and southern plains, coming up across the Corn Belt again, so worth probably another 1/2 to 1.5, maybe 2 inches of rain across most key ag areas. And we'll follow that up with some drier weather heading toward Thanksgiving. But if the pattern is fully in play here, you also then have to look longer term for Thanksgiving into Black Friday, maybe another system trying to work in. Bringing rain and maybe some stronger thunderstorms depending on where we're at. We're just in this pattern where we've got strong systems about every 3 to 4 days, and they are moisture laden, able to tap into moisture off of the Gulf of Mexico. That's what we're looking at here as we go through the rest of today. If you've got any questions on the weather, give us a call at Allendale. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin.